There is a big chasm between the way the Bible presents Mary and the way in which subsequent traditions presented her. In other words, there is a huge difference between the Mary of the Bible and the Mary of Mariology. What happened in order to make the two so different? First of all, we have to mention the role of the apocryphal Gospels. The canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, they have a very sober presentation of Mary, but the apocryphal Gospels, some of them center around the infancy narratives of Mary, not Jesus, presenting many stories and episodes of Mary's life, and they tend to make Mary as a central figure in the Gospel story. Secondly, Marian prayers. Since the end of the 2nd century onwards, prayers began to be presented to Mary, and these were not checked by the early church in order to be corrected to the point of leading them to become prayers directed to the Son. And so, as people began to pray to Mary, this belief that she is the Mother, always ready to help us, began to be believed. From the prayer life, it became a belief. Thirdly, there were some unchecked analogies used by some of the church fathers. For instance, Justin Martyr or Irenaeus of Lyon used the analogy of Mary being the second Eve. As Christ is the second Adam, Mary is the second Eve, using this typology, borrowing it from the Apostle Paul. Adam and Jesus being the second Adam, Eve and Mary being the second Eve. Now, these analogies used by these church fathers became the springboard for other analogies to be presented, and the use of these analogies expanded to the point that it became pervasive. So it allowed every title ascribed to Christ to become a title ascribed to Mary, so that as Jesus is the new Adam, Mary is the new Eve. As Jesus is the King of heaven, Mary is the Queen of heaven. As Jesus is the mediator between God and man, Mary became the mediatrix between God and man. And it went on and on and on and on. Finally, in the 4th century, we find the first dogmatic pronouncement about Mary, and the title Mother of God was given to her. Now, the intention of the Council of Ephesus in the 4th century was to reinforce the full divinity of Christ. And so, in order to stress the fact that Jesus was fully God, the Council decided to use the title Mother of God, applying it to Mary. And there is a sense in which Mary was the Mother of God, if we want to stress the fact that Jesus was as divine as he was human. The problem then was that this Marian title began the springboard for other Marian titles to be added. And so, from the very sober presentation of Mary in the Bible, growing, inflated view of Mary began to be normative in subsequent generations.